Right, hi guys, and welcome back to the Crawl Room. We're here once again in this wonderful ranty room for all things Formula One. So the US Grand Prix has come to a close from Austin, Texas, and what can be said about that race really, and the weekend as a whole? It was okay, nothing overly special in the main race itself. The sprint race threw up a few surprises, a little bit of contact here and there as well, of course, but the main race itself wasn't the usual knee slapper that we've become accustomed to from the Texas circuit. There were certainly some good overtakes in places, but for the most part, it was all building up to something that just never quite happened. So if you've seen this series before, I award the drivers out a maximum of 10 points based on their overall race weekend's performance, and I go all the way down to 0 if they have a particularly bad one. Take a look out for bonus points though. There's sometimes often some drivers do something extra special during a race, and on the rare occasion I do award minus points though, drivers do something extra special, but for all the wrong reasons. As this is a sprint format race weekend as well, certain drivers that I think did well over the sprint qualifying and sprint race can be awarded up to 3 additional points on top of their weekend score that I give. So the sprint format is treated separately on this series, but it doesn't come with a big plus points or anything like that. We just give them a little tickler points of up to 3 if I think they deserve that extra 1 or 2 couple of points for what they did in the sprint format, but weren't able to deliver much in the race or still had a great race as well. But yeah, overall had a fantastic weekend. But yeah, that's that. We'll take a look at the standings then, shall we? While we're here, we may as well, haven't we? Let's take a look at them. They're on the screen now for you to take a look at. Have a look and see where your favourite driver is right now. And based on how well they did this weekend, can you see them going up? Can you see them going down? George Russell with a comfortable lead on the standings here at the moment. He could be Crawl Room champion of 2025. But did any drivers do something really good this weekend that could see that gap close somewhat? We'll have to wait and see, won't we? We shall have to wait and see. A couple of drivers on final warnings as well. Kimi Antonelli can receive no more of the week, so he will be disqualified if I feel necessary that he has had a suboptimal weekend. And there's a couple of drivers really languishing down at the back for mediocre performances throughout the season. Will that disqualified pile grow any further, though? You'll have to wait and see. We'll take a look at the team standings as well then, shall we? Of course, this is added up cumulative of what the drivers are awarded over the course of this episode and across the season as well. But as you can see, there is a couple of plus points there and some minus points as well. Those will be added and deducted at the final race in Abu Dhabi, so we won't know the true order until the end. But you can take a rough idea of who is going to finish where, can't you really? Those minus points for ridiculous things that have happened throughout the season will all come into play at the end. Will I add or deduct any more though? Of course, you'll have to wait and see at the end of the episode. That's when I do that, if I feel it's necessary. Without further ado then, let's kick things off with the race winner then, shall we? Max Verstappen once again, but not only that, took sprint pole, took sprint victory, and also then took pole position and the win in the race as well. Not to mention led every single lap throughout, and he was just one fastest lap away in the main race from getting a double Grand Slam this weekend. The first driver he would have been to do that, one fastest lap away from it, because he dominated the sprint format, he dominated the main format. He just was sublime this weekend and really now is a championship threat to those McLaren drivers because they can't get their shit together, and Max Verstappen has clearly got a car underneath him that he's finally comfortable with once again. A lot of work on the floor, a lot of work on the front wing, and the combination has finally come to fruition and they're just thriving in it. They are basking in the moment. Red Bull have thrown a lot at it, improving the car and developing the car well into this 2025 season when a lot of teams have now stopped to focus on 26. Could that be an omen for Red Bull, though, for 26, knowing that they're not going to be as competitive with that Ford engine in the back of it? There's apparently some rumours about that not going so well behind the scenes at the moment. So are they all eggs in one basket? Let's try and get the driver's title for Max at the last gasp, if we can. But yeah, honestly, Max has been sublime this weekend. Cannot fault a thing about it. So he's getting 12 points for his overall race weekend's performance, 12 points for the main race and the main qualifying for being impeccably perfect throughout. And then he's getting 3 additional bonus points for what he did in that sprint format. So that's 15 total for Max Verstappen this race. It's fantastic to see. The gap closes in the championship to just 40 now to Oscar Piastri, of course. Lando Norris is 26 behind, is he? Something like that. Just imagine, had he not lost those 9 points at Spain. Had he not lost those 9 points at Spain for his stupid antics and contact with George Russell, dropping him from 5th to 10th, he'd be 31 and less than a race win away from Lando Norris. That could be all the difference come the end of the season. And I know they always say you can't put it down to one single race. A championship is won or lost over the season. If Max Verstappen loses this championship by less than 9 points, then it has to go down to Spain, because that was his own stupid antics. It was no pit stop errors. It wasn't anyone else's fault. It was all his own actions in Spain. So that really could come back to haunt him now. With just 5 races left, 40-point gap to the main championship protagonist. But it could have been 9 points closer. Oh, it's going to be tight, isn't it? It's going to be tight. Let's wait and see if he rues that stupid hot-headed moment at Spain. But for now, it's a perfect 12 points, bonus points, and 3 additional points for the sprint. I can't even count there's that many, but it's 15 in total to Max Verstappen this weekend. An impeccable, impeccable job. Second place, we come to Lando Norris in the mighty McLaren. It's still the dominant car. I'm not buying it that the other teams have caught up. It's just that these drivers cannot deliver the goods, can they? How long did it take to get around Charles Leclerc? How close was he to getting a time penalty for track limits? It was ridiculous. It was ridiculous. I've been generous with this. I'll give him 6 and he can thank me for him, because that was a pathetic performance this week and he's getting nothing for the sprint. I don't care if it wasn't his fault. I'm not interested in that at all. But yeah, honestly, has allowed Max Verstappen to gain massive inroads into his own runners-up spot in the standings. Okay, he's caught up to Oscar Piastri in the main championship itself, but I don't really care, to be honest, because both McLaren drivers are annoying me. It's 6 to Lando because he didn't do as bad a job as Oscar, but even then, that's generous. There's been all these rumours and talks about Red Bull getting fined €50,000 for removing the grid marker tape off the pit wall and all this lot, but it's all fair and loving Formula 1, isn't it? Who gives a shit about that? But yeah, Lando Norris this weekend, it's 6 from me for him. It was pathetic, really. I don't even know why I gave him 6, but he can have some sympathy points because he's not winning the title here. He's not going to win the title in real life if he carries on like this. And that's that, really. So yeah, Lando, short and sweet, fed up with him as always, fed up with McLaren, and once again, underdelivered in a dominant car because he couldn't get round a much slower Ferrari on much older soft tyres in that first stint, and that's what made the damage. So yeah, Lando Norris, 6, thank me for him, we're moving on. In third place, we come to Sha-la-la, sacre bleu, sha-la-la, securing a podium position for the Ferrari squad. What a turnaround this weekend. We saw them in free practice 1 just struggling, didn't they? Nowhere near the pace. The sprint qualifying format, lucky to get into both cars into that top 10 in that sprint qualifying format. And then the race came to them with all the contacts and collisions that happened, and they ended up finishing a respectable position in the sprint and sent to have a better car underneath them for race trim. Then they converted that once again into the main qualifying performance. And once again, did a fantastic job there, and then was able to do a great job in the race. Leclerc opting to go onto the soft tyres, the only driver inside the top 15 to go for the soft option. Everyone else around him went mediums. That got him ahead of Lando Norris off the line and for the first round of stops. Lando got him towards the end, but then Leclerc soon pitted. Then Lando tried to go for a tyre offset, so of course Leclerc pitted for the mediums as Norris came in for the softs. Leclerc re-entered ahead of Lando Norris, and again it got to the stage where Lando couldn't get round, dropped back to cool off his tyres. He was moaning on the radio, wasn't he, Lando, about, oh, my tyres are gone. But in the end, he was able to mount a serious attack and overtake Charles Leclerc quite fairly, actually. It was a good little battle between the two of them throughout the race, and Norris did eventually get the better of Leclerc. But without him going for that strategy and without Ferrari trying something else, I honestly just think Leclerc would have been third all race. So fair play for him giving it a go. Didn't quite work out. He didn't stay second, but third is a fantastic effort. Good to see him mixing it up with the likes of the McLarens and, of course, the Mercedes as well. Yeah, it's interesting to see how it's going to get on, but that was a big points haul this weekend for Ferrari overall from the sprint and the main race. Didn't look like that way on Friday, did it? So, yeah, fair play to them. Charles Leclerc this weekend, it's a perfect 10 from me for him. Great effort, really good job this weekend, and could do no more than that. P3, great effort. 10 to Leclerc. Fourth place, we come to Lewis Hamilton in the second of the Ferraris. What a great haul of points, as I've already mentioned there. Fourth place for Lewis Hamilton, finish ahead of the likes of George Russell, Oscar Piastri, of course. Really good effort, that. Really good effort. The sprint race itself was good as well. Again, poor qualifying due to the pace of that Ferrari in that sprint qualifying format. But the race itself came to them with the contacts and collisions. And then did his superb move on his teammate in that sprint race, didn't he, to get ahead of him. That was a really good move. I enjoyed that. That was literally just edge of the limit stuff between the two Ferrari drivers with that, but honestly that was really impressive to watch. I enjoyed that move that Hamilton did. So Lewis Hamilton's weekend this weekend overall, not as good as his teammate in the main race itself or in qualifying on the Saturday for the main race, but overall I think it was worthy of 8 points this weekend for his main race weekend, and I'm awarding 2 additional bonus points for the sprint for what was a lovely move on his teammate. That was really good. I loved it. I enjoyed it. So yeah, overall for this weekend, he's getting 10 points. 8 for the main race, 2 bonus points for the sprint. A total of 10 points to Lewis Hamilton. Next up, we come to the second of the McLarens in Oscar Piastri. What's your favourite pastry? Fucking hell, flaky and burnt to a crisp, isn't it? Jesus Christ.
Before I got behind the wheel of an F1 car, I had to lose weight and go on a strict diet to appease Williams officials. Basically, Frank called me fat.
And there we have it, Juan Pablo Montoya of the week to Oscar Piastri. And not only that, I'm deducting 10 points off of his total that he's got on the series anyway. He's already quite low down the order, but he can have another minus 10 as well, because he's bottling it. He's throwing this away. I cannot believe it. He has allowed Max Verstappen to outscore him by 20 odd points this race weekend overall. He took 8 in the sprint, of course. It's 23 points, isn't it, he's taken out of him, which is just ridiculous. So yeah, honestly, he's gone from having a firm hand on this championship after Lando Norris's breakdown and retirement at Zandvoort, and you think, right, okay, he's got more than a win cushion here now. He just needs to be sensible, and he's throwing it away. He's been from 36 points ahead of his teammate to only 40 points ahead of Max Verstappen now, who at Zandvoort was 104 behind. He's throwing it away. He is throwing it away. Honestly, this is unbelievable. So yeah, Oscar Piastri, sort your shit out, mate, or this title is going the way of Max Verstappen. I don't even think he'll lose it to Lando. I honestly believe at this point it's going to be either Max wins the title or Oscar wins it. That's how I can see it going. I can see it going that way, really. And I don't care if Max wins it and then Lando beats Oscar as a result of that as well. I'm not bothered about that. I honestly think that Oscar will either hold on and take the title or Max wins it. I don't think Lando's going to have a chance, to be honest. But yeah, Oscar Piastri, what a dismal weekend this weekend. Blaming Nico Hulkenberg for the Turn 1 incident when he trekked the corner like no one else was there. It wasn't lap 1, Turn 1. Oh, I'm going for the sweep around. Oh, I'll just chop across everyone, shall I? Let me just chop across Hulkenberg that's got Alonso on his inside, and then I'll blame them. So it was all Oscar's fault, and I cannot believe that we're allowed to have this kind of racing, and it be called a racing incident. It annoys me so much that because we've not got our wing mirror alongside the car ahead, we can just cut across now. We can just go like that. That's fine. That's racing, apparently. It's fucking ridiculous. So yeah, Oscar Piastri reaped what he sowed in that sprint format and took his teammate out for good measure as well. Well done, mate. Great effort. Great effort indeed. And then to try and blame Hulkenberg was just ridiculous. And then the main race itself, no pace in qualifying, no pace in the race. Lucky to finish P5. It was a shame Russell couldn't have got him as well, just take another couple of points off him, to be honest. But that's that. And it's a shame that Tsunoda's up there as well, because if Tsunoda was up there, you know, trying to be inside the top 5 again, it could be a little bit more better for Red Bull overall, couldn't it? More points for their constructors' efforts and also taking points away from a McLaren that is clearly lacking at the moment with a driver that's lost his head. So, yeah, we'll see what happens in Mexico, where Red Bull are known to be strong. You know, Tsunoda could do with being up there, though. I don't think he will be, but we'll see. And yeah, we'll wait and see. But yeah, Oscar Piastri, it's another week to him. And of course, minus 10 points off of his total. Next up, we come to George the Russell is not in that top 5. Oh, George, what's happened here, mate? What's happened here? Just no pace at all from the Mercedes squad this weekend. George didn't get off the line particularly well, though, in the main race, did he? Bogged down from his P4 starting position to dropping behind Lewis Hamilton and Oscar Piastri, and then that was where he stayed. P6 was all he could do, I'm afraid. Couldn't make any forward progress from there. It's not very often we see George go backwards. He either maintains or gains, doesn't he? So just a little bit of an off start, really. A little bit boxed in, maybe not quite off the line as quick either. But yeah, one of those days really by George. P6 was the best he could do out of it. I think had he stayed ahead of Hamilton and Piastri, I think Hamilton would have gotten him, but I don't think Oscar would with how bad he was. So he could have done with being off the line ahead of Oscar. It would have been a P5 finish for him. But yeah, P6, at least he kept the car out of trouble. He got a good second place in the sprint format as well. Had a go at Verstappen at one point, but didn't quite succeed in that. Went off the track himself. Yeah, I mean, people are saying that should have been a forcing off track penalty. It was racing. Just let him race, for God's sake. Not everything has to be a penalty. Yeah, it was on the limit, but neither driver suffered from it. Both went off the track, maintained position. It's fine. You've got to have a go. It's for the lead of a race. I don't care if it's sprint or main race. Let them race in that aspect. Max has done it to loads of drivers over the seasons, and we've seen it plenty of times throughout the years. Just let them fucking race. So yeah, George of the Russell this weekend for me. For him, it's 6.5 for his efforts over the main course of the main bulk of the main Saturday and main Sunday. I don't know how many more times I can say main, but I'll try and get it in as mainly as possibly I can. But yeah, and then the sprint race format as well. I'm going to give him 2 additional bonus points. So that gives him 8.5 for the weekend, which the sprint format saved him this weekend because that was a below average performance really, by George's standards anyway. I'm not saying it was bad, but we're used to giving George, close to 10 every weekend, but he only got 6.5 from me this weekend because he wasn't a top 5 finish. Let a couple of cars by off the start and just didn't really have the pace to do much else. The sprint race, though, was a good effort. 2 additional bonus points for that. 8.5 to George of the Russell. Next up, we come to Yuki Tsunoda in the second of the Red Bulls. Good to see him pick up a couple of points in the sprint format and also a handful of points here in the main race as well. Qualifying didn't go well in either of the formats, but was able to make some good leaps and progress through the field as a result of the accident in the sprint race. And of course, just had a great first lap in the main race itself. Involved in an incident with Ollie Bearman, which was a little bit on the limit there, wasn't it? Wasn't even noted by the stewards, let alone investigated in the race. I can see why it wasn't given as a penalty because 1, there wasn't contact, and 2, I think had Bearman tried to go where Tsunoda ended up anyway, I think Bearman would have still been off the track because there wasn't a car's width. So I think maybe that's why they've let it off. But I still didn't like to see Bearman go on the grass, have to spin. Lucky that he didn't lose the engine or go backwards into a wall or collect Tsunoda for that matter. So yeah, I would say it was slightly over the limit, but it wasn't penalised because I think Bearman would have cut the track anyway and would have had to recede the position. Of course, Bearman ended up slipping down behind Hulkenberg as a result of that as well. But yeah, Tsunoda this weekend, that was only really the talking point. The sprint race format, okay, went well. The main race, you can say it went well, finishing 7th at least, picking something up. He was almost a minute behind his teammate come the checkered flag. He lost he was 50 plus seconds behind. So nearly a second a lap slower. That's how it works out at over a race pace than his teammate. So yeah, it's P7 at some points, but he was fighting around with a Haas, so that wasn't great. Tsunoda, anyway, disqualified on this series, has been for a number of races. Let's see how he gets on at Mexico, where Red Bull have been known to be so dominant over the previous years. I know last year was a little bit of a dud, but I think they've found the feet again. But yeah, Tsunoda, talks about it a little bit too much for a disqualified driver, but it was nice to see him score some points. Should have been more, though. Next up, we come to Nico Hulkenberg. Oh, I needed that. And so did Nico Hulkenberg. Finally, hallelujah, hallelujah, praise the Lord. He scored some points again. His first points finish since his podium at the British Grand Prix. Can you believe it? Having said that, though, Edu said to him, look, you can have a load of 4th places all the way throughout the season, or you can have one podium at Silverstone and then not have any points for ages. I'm still going to say he's going to take the podium, isn't he? Every stretch of every day of the week, isn't he? But yeah, honestly, Hulkenberg, good to see him back inside the points again. The sprint race, how unfortunate was that? Qualified a mighty P4. His first time inside the top 10 in any format this season for the qualifyings, and then was rudely wiped out at the start of the race. I'm not calling that Hulkenberg's fault. He had every right to be there. Piastri just swept across. he was lucky to keep going in that, actually. He was the only one involved in that accident that kept going. Alonso retired, Piastri retired, Norris retired as well, of course. But he was outside the points. He had to pit for a wing and finish 15th or something in that. So, yeah, should have been a good few points there on the cards for the Sauber squad there. The main race itself didn't quite get the Q3 effort together. Didn't do that well to get into Q3, I should say. Lined up P11, but got off the line quite well. Stayed P11. There was the incident for, what happened there? Antonelli and Sainz, wasn't it? And he was elevated into P9. And then the incident with Tsunoda and, of course, Ollie Bearman elevated him up to P8. So that was the best of the rest, really. Best of the rest position for the Sauber squad today in P8. I'm going to give Nico Hulkenberg 8.5 for his race overall. I think that's a fair effort, fair score, and I am awarding one additional bonus point for that sprint qualifying. I can't award anything for the race, even though I don't blame him for the incident. I think it's wrong of me to fully give him the maximum of 3 for a sprint format just based on qualifying. The points are in the race. The points didn't come to fruition, unfortunately, but that gives him a total of 9.5 this weekend, which is good to see because he's had a couple of the weeks from me, hasn't he, in this off period after the British Grand Prix podium, and he's also had a few low scores from me, so this will elevate him up the standings a little bit as well. 9.5 for Nico Hulkenberg. Good to see him back inside the points, having a good race, and yeah, great effort overall. Shame the qualifying wasn't a little bit better on the Saturday for the main race because it could have got him ahead of Tsunoda for the Sunday race, but that's how it is, isn't it? 9.5 to Nico Hulkenberg. And picking up a couple of points in 9th place, we come to Ollie Bearman in the Haas. What a fantastic weekend Ollie Bearman has had, really showing up his teammate Esteban Ocon once again, hasn't he? Got himself firmly inside the Q3 efforts for the sprint format, and was almost inside the points. He had a little bit of off-track moment, didn't he? Fighting with Antonelli for that P8. Yeah, he held the position and he should have relinquished it, but it's for the final point in a sprint format. I get it. He wanted to hold on to it. He got the 10-second time penalty, which I think was very harsh. 5 would have been enough, but they gave him 10 anyway. It is what it is, isn't it? And yeah, unfortunately, that dropped him down to the bottom of the standings in the sprint, despite crossing the line in P8, but he should have been P9. Just missed out on a point there in the sprint. I'm just going to count it as he was finishing 9th in that, because it was a good effort. And then in the main race itself, really could have been 7th without that incident with Tsunoda, but instead ended up 9th. I don't blame him for the incident at all. He had every right to have a go there. I think it was a little bit fortuitous that he tried to go for the move there. I think he would have been on track limits going over the curb. I could see what he was trying to do, but I don't think he would have fully had it alongside him, and I don't think it would have worked out, but he had every right to be there, and I don't blame Bearman for the incident. He had to react to the swerving Tsunoda, and of course had that little pirouette and spin, and then on dirty tyres and slightly flat-spotted tyres as well, Hulkenberg slipped through. So yeah, don't blame him for giving it a go. Should have been P7, ends up P9. That's not his fault. He's getting a maximum of 10 points for me for this weekend overall, putting that Haas car in places it doesn't necessarily belong. I think he's getting more out of it, of course, than his teammate Esteban, but I don't think it's a point scoring car. I think it should be around the 12th to 14th area, personally speaking, but Bearman's doing something special at the moment. It's a perfect 10 to Ollie Bearman, and 1 additional bonus point for the sprint. I am awarding him 1 for that, because I think he was unlucky to get the penalty. He would have been P9 on the road if he'd have let the position back, but what's the point? You may as well try and stay 8th and argue it later, hadn't you, than drop to 9th and then have no reason to fight for anything, because you're not going to get the point back. It is what it is, as they say, for the sprint format. But yeah, 11 total to Ollie Bearman. Great weekend. 10 for the main race, and 1 additional bonus point for his sprint efforts. Then, last of the runners, we come to Fernando Alonso in the first of the Aston Martins. Not really much can be said about Alonso this weekend, rather lonely, didn't see much of him. Was involved in this final points-paying position squabble, wasn't he? Lawson at one stage got within DRS, as well as his teammate Stroll as well. But in the end, those drivers faded away, and Alonso was able to stay P10. At one point, it looked like he could have maybe had something on Bearman, but he didn't come to anything really. And yeah, it's just a solid 7 for Alonso. Didn't see much of him this weekend overall. They'd have hoped for more, I'm sure, but at least they come away with something. And yeah, 7 to Alonso. That's that really. Just outside the points, we come to Liam Lawson in the first of the Visa Cash App Maxi Tampon RB. Buy one, get one free. Don't forget your AlphaTauri, your Toro Rosso, your Minardi. Don't you dare. Don't you dare. Unfortunately, Liam Lawson is disqualified on this series and was the first to be disqualified. Can you believe it? But yes, that is the sad truth of Liam Lawson's season. And this weekend, had the upper hand over his teammate, I would say, this weekend overall, but still didn't come to any sort of points. There was a moment there where it looked like he could have maybe got Alonso, but his tyres faded away. He's disqualified anyway. He shall remain that way, ineligible to score any points. And yeah, another pointless exercise by the Visa Cash App squad. And in 12th place, we come to the second of the Aston Martins in Lance Stroll. What a donkey. What an absolute donkey. Once again, he harpooned Esteban Ocon in the sprint race and then tried to drive with 3 wheels. I don't know what on earth he was doing. Fair enough, pull it off to the side of the track, Lance, but you didn't need to go and do half a fucking lap before you stopped the car. What a dick. What an absolute dick. Yeah. Just honestly took a 5-place grid drop, but then of course his incapabilities in qualifying have shown again, so that he only dropped 1 place despite having a 5-place grid drop because he only qualified 18th. What a moron. And then the race itself is here in 12th. I don't really care, to be honest, and that's that. So disqualified anyway, has been for a good number of races as always, and another disappointing day at the office. But as Andy Cowell said on the Aston Martin pit wall, it's good that he had a bit of contact though, because we like to see him trying. Fuck off. You had a gun nailed to your head again, didn't he? Fucking Daddy Lance. Oh yeah, Daddy Stroll. Fucking, you say something nice about my son. Alright then, I will. He's a talent. A dreamboat. He's going to be a future champion. Fucking stop it now. Stop it. Don't overdo it. But yeah, anyway, Lance Stroll disqualified anyway and remains that way. Finishing in and looking for some P13, we come to Andrea Kimi Antonelli. Oh yes indeed, here he is, finishing and looking for some P13. Yeah, was taken out by Carlos Sainz in the race, but again, we just do this chopping thing now, don't we? Doesn't matter. He knew we were there. He were fighting with him for a good number of corners, but then no, I've got this corner, it's mine. Your wing mirror's not alongside me. I'm going to chop you. Fucking dicky move, that. It's just not on. I don't understand how this can be accepted. Sainz, I think, is going to get a penalty for it. I'm not sure if he has at the time of recording. But again, it just annoys me. It just frustrates me that this is racing now. Because you have the right to the corner as per the rules, you can now just turn in on anyone or anything. I don't get it. I don't get it. Antonelli gets 4 from me anyway. He's lucky he's got that. He's not got another week or a disqualification. I don't think it needs disqualifying because he's just racing to the rules. He's a younger driver, so he's going to be more susceptible to obeying those rules. But like Carlos Sainz said in the commentary after the race, I overtook Bearman at the same point doing the same thing because he left me room. I think that was in the sprint race, wasn't it? Oh, it might have been in that race itself. I can't quite remember. But even though, like, he's like, yeah, I did exactly the same. This time, I did it, and then Antonelli just turned in because my wing mirror wasn't quite alongside. You know, my front tyre wasn't alongside his wing mirror. And you just think it's a load of crap, isn't it? And I just don't like it. And Martin Brundle coming out with this, oh, yeah, well, you know, you've got your wing mirrors that are about as useless as a chocolate fireguard. Charles Leclerc, early in that race, were like, yeah, Lando Norris, track limits behind me. Track limits. He could see what was going on, couldn't he? So I don't buy that the wing mirrors are fully useless. Antonelli knew Sainz was there and was like, if you don't back out, we're going to have a crash. It's not really the mentality you should be having, isn't it? Forward to Andrea Kimi Antonelli anyway. Let me know in the comments, what do you feel about this new style of racing? Oscar Piastri in the race, of course, for the sprint. Just chopped everyone else across. It's up to them to move out the way. And then, of course, Antonelli, I'm not giving up this corner. I'm just going to cut across you. It's your fault. Is that how it is? Or was Sainz always in the wrong? Was it Hulkenberg or Alonso's fault in the sprint? Let me know in the comments. I look forward to seeing what your thoughts are on it. But I don't like this whole just chopping in because your car's not identical to where it should be as per the rules. Don't get it. So yeah, anyway, Antonelli, 4 points. Thank me for him. He moves on to another race, but still very close to a disqualification, as you all know. Next up, we come to the first of the Williams in Alex Albon.
I was never far away from controversy. At the Canadian Grand Prix in my first season, I was very unhappy with a certain Canadian driver, and rather than using just words, I decided to give him a good thump. Bloody Jacques Villeneuve.
And there we have it. Alex Albon secures Juan Pablo Montoya of the week. What a shame for Alex this weekend. Looked like once again it was going to be a case of doing so much but then delivered so little. The sprint race was okay, picked up a few points there, that's fine. It really helped Williams along because they were the only ones of the B category to pick up some points in the sprint format. And then in the main race itself, it all went wrong. Qualifying, he had a difficult first lap and then track limits on his second, which saw him out of qualifying in the first effort. They'd had a diff change on the car between qualifying and the race, the sprint race and the main qualifying, and that meant that the car drove differently, but even so, he should keep it within side track limits. He knows that. And unfortunately from there, he had a difficult day at the office, didn't he? Bumped into Bortoleto in the early stages of the race and had a spin, had a pirouette, and then just couldn't make any further progress and wasn't looking like a point scorer at all, which is a shame because that Williams car looked like it should have been a double Q3 appearance and points again, but wasn't for either driver. So yeah, it is an of the week too. Alex Albon, saved a little bit by the fact I'm awarding him one additional bonus point for his sprint efforts. I think it was good that he himself and Sainz were inside the points for the Williams team, as mentioned, able to get something out of the weekend. But it should have been more on the Sunday that wasn't, because it was hampered by the Saturday performance. So yeah, Albon gets an of the week and saved by one lucky point, so he gets a point added to his total, as well as an of the week, unfortunately. But yeah, that's that for Alex, I'm afraid. Tough day at the office for Williams that have gone into that weekend hoping for a lot more and delivered so little. And then we come to Esti Bestie Ocon, Esti Bestie to you. Ain't like Esti Bestie Ocon.
Leading the Brazilian Grand Prix, I lapped Jos Verstappen in his arrows, only for 3 corners later, Jos locked up and ploughed into the back of me, leading to my retirement. That moment right there summed up my entire Formula 1 career.
And there we have it. Juan Pablo Montoya of the week to Esti Bestie Ocon as well. I think that's his second consecutive one, isn't it? Because he's been doing dismal compared to his teammate Ollie Bearman. This is where we're going to see the tension start to fly within Haas, aren't we? The first opportunity Ocon has at getting close enough to his teammate to take him out, we know he's going to do it, don't we? Because that's how he always races in Formula 1. He doesn't like it when his teammates beat him. Ollie Bearman beat him in the sprint, beat him in the main race. Uh-oh, SpaghettiOs. It's going to be handbags at dawn at the Haas team once Ocon is able to get close to Ollie Bearman. But at the minute, there's several positions between them in qualifying and several positions between them in the race results as well. Coming nowhere near, struggling with the balance of the car and the feel for the car as well. Struggling with brakes as well, isn't it? But either way, it's just another poor weekend by Esti Bestie Ocon. His rookie teammate delivering some good performances over the weekend. Ocon really doing nothing at all. It's an of the week too. Esti Bestie. Next up, we come to the second of the Visa Cash App Maxi Tampon RBs in Isaac Hadjar. Isaac Hadjar. That's right, David Croft, you fucking moron. It's Isaac Hadjar.
My time in Formula 1 ended after the US Grand Prix in 2006, where, after a tumultuous season, things finally came to a head and I had a massive falling out with the boss of McLaren, Ron Dennis, after a first lap collision saw both myself and teammate Raikkonen out of the race, along with several other cars. They blamed me for the incident, so I quit and never raced in F1 again.
And there we have it. Juan Pablo Montoya comes out again. It's a triple header with the Juan Pablos of the week there, isn't it? A back-to-back-to-back. But Isaac Hadjar had to get one, unfortunately. He crashed in qualifying. It was unfortunate gust of wind, but it happens. But I'm not excusing it. It cannot be excused. And then the race itself, really struggling with the car. Got 3 track limits warnings within the first 8 laps of that race. So he was lucky he didn't get a time penalty. But of course, had to drive ridiculously cautiously for the rest of the race. Couldn't make any progress through the field. I'm not convinced the car was 100%, to be honest with you. But Isaac Hadjar could do nothing all weekend, unfortunately. Just struggled. Just a struggling weekend. The crash obviously dented his confidence somewhat going into the race itself. And like I said, once he got all those track limits, he was either going to get loads of penalties or was going to be a little bit overcautious to not get any more, and I think he lent that way, unfortunately. So yeah, for Isaac Hadjar, it is a Juan Pablo Montoya of the week. He's a rookie at the end of the day. Mistakes happen, mistakes are made, but unfortunately this time around it can be no forgiving them for me. Heavy damage, Could have been points, could have been a lot more from the weekend overall, but unfortunately for Isaac Hadjar, it's not of the week to him. Next up, we come to Franco Colapinto in the first of the Alpines. Well done, Franco, for disobeying the team orders, staying behind Pierre Gasly, who was dog shit slow. What kind of team orders that? It's fucking 17th place, for God's sake. Why are we doing team orders stay behind Pierre? It's not like it's for a final points paying position or something. He needs to play a rear gunner for Bortoleto. What difference does it make if he gets around his teammate? Anyway, I'm glad he had a fight, I'm glad he had a race, and I'm glad he got ahead of his teammate. It was a good battle, a fair battle, and Pierre Gasly ended up behind Bortoleto at the end of it. So were they quite happy for Colapinto just to stay behind Gasly so Bortoleto overtook them both? I mean, I know it's not for any points or anything close to points, but is that what they want? I don't get it. Honestly, Alpine continue to baffle me. But Colapinto this weekend, solid. Solid, but nothing spectacular. Didn't out-qualify his teammate this weekend, I don't think, like he has done for a number of races, but even so, both out in Q1. I think Gasly scraped into Q2, didn't he? But lined up 15th, so it doesn't make much of a difference. And then the race itself, at times, was involved in battles and squabbles up until around that 14th place area. But as always with the Alpine squad, they just tumble down the order due to the lack of pace as the race progresses, and then the squabbling round at the back. So yeah, Colapinto this weekend for me, 6.5, kept it out of the wall, kept in touch with his teammate, which I think is a fair effort. Even if he doesn't beat him all the time, he kept in touch with him, and I think he's doing enough to try and retain that seat now. But, you know, it's just a difficult car, isn't it? But I'm glad he disobeyed team orders. I don't normally agree with drivers disobeying team orders, but it's for 17th place, for fuck's sake. Let him get past, let them have a race, so long as they don't hit each other, that they didn't do. It's fine. Let them have something to fight over, for God's sake. You know, they're not doing much else, are they? So yeah, 6.5 to Colapinto this weekend for me. Think he did a solid job in a really shit car. Next up, we come to Gabriel Bortoleto in the second of the state kick me up the arse Saubers, of course. Here he is finishing second to last of the runners after another difficult day at the office.
My Formula One career involved a lot of falling out with teammates, other drivers, team principals, race engineers, marshals, strategists, catering department, head of HR, circuit owners, the FIA, stewards, health and safety executives, fitness management, cleaners, lawnmowers, and of course the bin men. They all piss me off.
And there we have it. I'm afraid it had to be, I think it might be Juan Pablo, or I might have run out of them. I got Dave to do extra, but I don't know if I got 4 or 5 from him. Sorry, if it's not Juan Pablo, it's someone else that I've not yet used in the previous guys as races, etc. But either way, it is an of the week to Gabriel Bortoleto. For just having a tough run of things. He's really struggling, isn't it? Really struggling. We saw it at Baku. We've seen it here. Yeah, seems to have just taken a dip in form recently, and that's a shame, you know. Out in sprint qualifying 1 and main qualifying 1, and then making no progress through the race, unfortunately, which is a great shame, because points were possible in sprint race, points were possible in the main race as well. We might not have succeeded and got them, but he shouldn't be really finishing second to last of the runners. He should be like that 11th, 12th area if he couldn't get inside the points. But yeah, just a really off weekend by Bortoleto, and that's a shame, but seems like all the rookies really struggled this race, so just one of those circuits, obviously first time at the track as well, of course, let's not forget that. So it's one of those things, but unfortunately it has to be an of the week to Gabby Bortoleto, because it was just disappointing and not on par with his teammates' performance. And we've seen him so close to Hulkenberg in recent races and out-qualifying him and out-racing him at times. So this one was an off weekend by Bortoleto. I'm sure he'd admit that himself as well. I don't like giving the rookies of the weeks, but and I've been really impressed with Bortoleto this season, but this one was really a duff. It was a So yeah, unfortunately it has to be an of the week to Gabriel Bortoleto. Last of the runners, we come to Pierre Gasly in the second of the Alpines. As already mentioned, not really much could be talked about his race. His qualifying was okay to scrape into Q2, but then nothing else from there really. It didn't really matter. The race, I think he got as high as about 12th at one stage. I'm not sure if that were on merit or as a result of people pitting and stuff. I can't quite remember. But yeah, got to 12th at one stage, and then as we mentioned, tumbled down the order. Had a squabble with Colapinto. Bortoleto, lost out to Colapinto, and then lost out to Gabby Bortoleto a couple of laps away from the end of the race. So, yeah, big disappointment, big shame, and not much else can be said about it, really. It's 4 points to Gasly. I'm not really, I know he's under-delivering, but I think the car's just that shit, and he's just lost all hope and belief in this team, to be honest with you. Maybe he's ruined his choice signing for a long-term contract. Is it till the end of 27 or 28? I can't remember what he signed, but either way, not good, is it? Not good. Let's see what happens next year with a Mercedes engine in the back of it. He's going to be hopeful that can make a difference, because of course we've seen it before when Mercedes have done well in the new engine eras, 2014 of course, that all the teams with that engine do well regardless of how shit the car around them is. So yeah, honestly, let's see if the Mercedes engine can carry Alpine to anything better than last on the grid throughout 2026. But for now, fighting and squabbling over nothing, and lost out 4-2 Pierre Gasly. Last but by no means least, we come to the only DNF in this race, and it is Carlos Sainz. Smooth operator. Oh no, Carlos. What a shame. Disqualified on the series anyway, so can't be awarded anything at all. Would he have gotten off the week? I'd have been on the fence about it, to be honest. I'd have been very 50-50. I don't fully blame him for the incident with Antonelli. As mentioned, I think it's just this racing rule that I don't personally agree with, that, well, your car's not here, so I'm just going to chop you. I don't get it. I don't understand how that can be a form of racing. It's demolition derby at that point. If you're actively going to make someone crash into you if they don't yield, I don't call that racing. I know people are going to say, yeah, but can you remember the Senna days and stuff like that? I get it. I know it happens, but there's times and places for it to happen. It didn't need to happen where it did there between Sainz and Antonelli, to be honest with you. So yeah, I'm very on the fence about it. I don't know if I would have given Sainz an of the week or not. I probably would have leant on the side of, yeah, giving it, because ultimately it is his fault, but I don't agree with the sentiment around this racing regulations and stuff. Carlos Sainz delivered a great effort in the sprint, of course, getting himself a sprint podium, so that was nice to see. And the main race itself, got himself inside the top 10 in qualifying. Could have had a little bit more out of that lap, to be honest, though. Get himself P8, P7 perhaps, but in the end lined up P9. Was fighting around for that P8, P9 area, had the contact with Antonelli and retired just before pit entry, caused the only virtual safety car of the race as a result. So yeah, that's that. And Carlos Sainz disqualified anyway on the series, and the only DNF in the race. So then guys, those were the runners and riders of the USA Grand Prix at Austin. Let me know down in the comment section, do I score any drivers too high, any too low? The updated standings with the scores I've just awarded are on the screen now for you to take a look at. Have a look and see where your favourite driver is right now. It's looking like it could be George Russell's championship this, doesn't it? It really does. He's got a nice healthy lead. There's pretty close though in the mid-pack. Very close in the mid-pack. One race either way, or an of the week either way, could swing it for them. But George of the Russell needs to really now make 2 mistakes, I would say, 2 potential of the weeks, and for the other drivers around him to have good performances for me to score him high, for them to even have a chance of the title for the Crawl Room. It's crazy to see, but yeah, George, even with an off weekend this weekend, still gets a total of 8.5 from me for his sprint efforts and the main race itself. So the sprint race saved him somewhat there, but even so, he's delivering a great season overall. We can forgive him an odd bad race, and an odd bad race is P6. Bad races in George Russell's previous years would have been talking about stuffing it in the wall on the last lap while fighting for the win at Singapore, for example. So, he's not that level of bad, and he hasn't been all season. Let's see how he gets on for the rest of the year. But yeah, looking like a championship favourite now in the Crawl Room. But of course, as always, anything can happen. We'll take a look at the team standings as well then, shall we? I can manipulate this separately, as you know, but that's it. I'm leaving it as it is. Whatever the driver scored this weekend has been added and deducted to the team's tallies. And of course, those minus points and plus points will come off at the end of the season at the Abu Dhabi finale, where we'll crown a Constructors' Champion here on the Crawl Room Series. Looking forward to seeing how they get on, but yeah, the big minus points are really going to hurt those teams, aren't they, for their incapabilities throughout the season. A massive thanks as always goes out to Dan Bartlett, formerly of Mushy Gaming, for providing me with the scoreboard that you saw on your screen for the driver icons in the corner of your screen and for the intro as well. Without him, this series would be more pointless than it already is. And who can forget Dave, F1 Games PlayStation, for providing me with the of the weeks that you don't necessarily know, but you know you're going to love them. You just know it, don't you? I will see you all again next week, Tuesday, 6 p.m. for the Mexico Grand Prix Crawl Room. Can't wait. Going to be an interesting race, that. Will it be Max Verstappen winning once again? Will McLaren bottle it once again? Can Ferrari, Mercedes, even Tsunoda get in the mix as well to knock those McLarens down a peg or two? We'll wait and see. But for now, thanks a lot for watching, guys. And as always, much love.